Most fish farmers panic when their fish refuses to eat, and most of them think that the fish are sick and they are going to die. Some of them even proceed to give them more feed. Others give them medication thinking they are sick, and then they are afraid that they will lose all the fish. Indeed, you will lose them if care is not taken. But what about if I told you that the first refusal of your fish to eat doesn't mean any harm? This is just a first warning that your fish are going to be sick and they'll not be okay. There are several ways that is leading to your fish refusal to eat. However, in this video, I'm going to talk about the invisible water parameters that is causing your fish refusal to eat. And if you don't take care early enough, then you will lose your fish in due time. So I will, in this video, outline two major causes in terms of parameters that is causing your fish not to be eaten, and then I will tell you what to do when you are in that situation. So please don't panic, stay watching, learn. And if you don't have fish farm yet, please learn from this, and then when you get your fish farm finally and you face this, you are likely to understand why. Now, let me give you this scenario. I always want to give practical examples. If human beings, people, are put in a room or in a hall and the number of people are more, these people are crowded in that particular hall. There's no air conditioner, there's no fans, and possible ventilation is very poor. What happens after a few minutes or in an hour time? You will see the room will be very hot, very warm, and people are sweating. And the reason is that circulation of oxygen becomes very poor. Since there's limited oxygen in the room and all of you are dependent on that oxygen, and the breath in of oxygen and the removal of carbon dioxide makes the place to be very warm and inconvenient for people. And at that time, most people in the room will not be even thinking of getting food to eat, but they'll be thinking of how to get themselves relief, to get more oxygen. You might be wondering, Abdul, why are you comparing human to fish? It is so because even when the fish are in water, they also breathe and they also use oxygen to breathe. But theirs is different from how we humans breathe. We breathe outside water. That is most mammals. But the fish, they breathe inside the water. And what happens is that they dissolve oxygen inside the water. And then the water passes through their gills. And then they absorb the oxygen. And that is how they breathe. So now, when the oxygen in the pond or in the water becomes very low, it is now difficult for them to get oxygen and absorb it. And for that matter, they will not be thinking of eating, but they were thinking of how to get more oxygen. Also, when they eat, they need more oxygen to digest that feed. But situation where the oxygen is very low, when you give them feed, they don't even want to eat because when they eat, how are they going to get oxygen to be able to digest that feed? Now, so the number one parameter that is leading to poor eating of the fish is low oxygen in the pond. How do you determine the adequate oxygen in the pond? In fact, normal oxygen in the pond for the fish, 5 milligrams per liter and above. This is good for the fish. They will be healthy and they will not have problem. And stress level means that the fish will not be that okay, but this will not lead to complication. They won't die or they will not be sick, but they will not be okay. And that level is 4 milligrams per liter. But dangerous level, if the oxygen falls below 3 milligrams per liter, this is dangerous level and you are likely to lose your fish. So now, when you notice that your fish are not eating, please avoid quickly giving them medication, avoid giving them more feed. This can lead to diseases and mortality. So what you do first is that stop giving them feed for about 24 hours. Don't give them feed. Now, if you have water, you can do partial change. Don't do complete water change. You can do 30 to 60% change of the water. If you have natural way, that is bitter leaves, you can also introduce that in the pond after you do your partial water change. And this, if it is oxygen, you will be okay. Now, another serious invisible parameter that is also causing your fish not to eat is high ammonia. In fact, ammonia, when it is high in the pond, what happens? What happens is that it burns the gills. And once the gills are burnt, the fish are not able to absorb oxygen through the gills because it is not paining them. So that is when they stop eating. That is when they are trying to now get healed and to get good water for them to go. Initially, I used to think that if there's always high ammonia in the pond, then oxygen will not be there at all. But research is indicating that there could be oxygen in the pond where there's high ammonia. However, because the gills of the fish are burnt, they cannot utilize that oxygen. So the oxygen inside will just like nothing for them because even though it is there, but they cannot use it because it has burnt their gills and they breathe or they absorb oxygen through the gills. Now, high ammonia, in fact, it is very dangerous. Like I said, it affects oxygen, and this, if care is not taken, it can lead to serious disease and you can lose your fish. And the best level of ammonia should always be below 0.02. That is the maximum milligram per liter, 0.02. Now, something that is 0.05 and above is very dangerous and can kill your fish. So now, if these two things are not met, and then you are going to face problems. And that's why I began by saying that when your fish refuse to eat in the first place, don't panic. Try to check these two things. And when you get these two things right and you control these two things, you are good to go. Now let's come to look at what causes these two things. First of all, has to do with overfeeding. Most beginners think that the more you give your fish feed, the more they grow. This to an extent is true. However, if you are not careful and you overfeed your fish, the leftover feed, when it dissolves in the water, it is going to deplete oxygen and it is going to increase ammonia, and that can lead to what I am telling you. Now, also, more organic waste or organic matter or decay and decomposed organic matter in the pond also affects oxygen. You'll be asking why. Why? Because this organic matter, they also use oxygen. Not only that, most of the organisms in the pond also compete with the fish in terms of oxygen. But this is where it is dangerous. First of all, in the afternoon like this, the plankton and other organic waste that are plant-based in the pond, they also do what we call photosynthesis, and therefore it releases oxygen as byproduct, and that is supporting the oxygen in the pond. But in the night, since there's no sunlight again, these plants also stop photosynthesis, and they are now also consuming the oxygen in that pond, and all the living organisms are consuming that oxygen in the pond in competition with the fish. Therefore, at the end of the day, the oxygen is going to be smaller and not adequate for all of them, including the fish. And your priority here is the fish, and that is when you are going to have issues. Now, what do you do? Also, overfeeding can also spike high ammonia, and that can also lead to diseases. So, in order to control this, make sure that you always feed your fish the right way. Use the right and then the best feeding method, that is responsive feeding method. Give small at a time, observe and increase. Now, if you are facing this in your farm, the best thing to also do is to try to provide aerators. Aeration system are systems that adds oxygen into the pond. If you're having the RAS like we have here, then the RAS also goes with aerator pump. Make sure that it is functioning well and you are good to go. If you don't have the RAS, try to get aerator to increase the amount of oxygen in the pond, and then you are good to go. And also, if you don't have that immediately, even if you have that, depending on the severity of the absence of the oxygen or the high ammonia, you are likely not to just provide the aerator and that will be enough. That means you need to do partial water change, and then you can now start using your aerator and you are good to go. Now, these two things are dangerous, but if you get them right and you control them, then you are going to have a successful fish farm production. Now, water parameter is also water parameters is always important, and you need to ensure you have good water parameters and your fish will be thriving. So that is why if you have good water system, you are good to go. And if you are wondering why, my best recommendation is the aquaculture system. That is what we will install. It has proven to work for us and it's worked for other farmers. So why not also get it installed? We can do that for you. And if you want to learn how to do it yourself without much stress, you just sit at your comfort of your zone, follow us, learn everything practical, and then implement it yourself. Then consider checking out our DIY recycled aquaculture system course in the description. Enroll in that course and you can learn everything practical. And more importantly, we are there. You can contact us to guide you if you have any issues along the way. But if you're a complete beginner, where you want to start or you have already started, and you need a complete guide on how to start your fish farm, how to manage the farm and be successful, we have a completely free course which is about 4 hours solid on this channel. In fact, this is a course we could have made money from by selling. However, we decided to make it free for you, as charitable as we are. So consider watching check in the description, get the free course, watch it, get it, and boom, you are good to go. You don't have much stress. My name is Abdulaziz Isa. I have a bachelor degree in development education, but I have been a fish farmer for over 4 years, and I have been helping others to establish their farms and to solve their farm issues for several years now. So consider following this channel because all this channel to share fish farms is based on our experience and research. I thank you so much for watching and see you in my next video. Check out that free course and then we can work together. Thank you. Bye bye.